I answered a radio station that shouldn't exist. I drive long-haul trucking routes across the Midwest. Most nights are boring. Just empty highways, gas stations, and enough caffeine to ruin your heart permanently. But there's one stretch of road in Nebraska I'll never drive again. Not after I found the station. It started around 1 a.m. during a thunderstorm. Rain hammered the windshield so hard I could barely see the road ahead. My GPS kept cutting out, and the only thing keeping me awake was flipping through radio stations. Most were static. Country music. Late-night talk shows. Then I found 97.3 FM. At first, it sounded normal. A man calmly reading weather updates in a deep radio voice. But something felt off immediately. The broadcast mentioned towns I'd never heard of. Places that didn't appear on road signs or maps. Then the host said something that made my stomach tighten. Drivers on Route 6 should avoid mile marker 114 tonight. I looked up at the highway sign ahead. Mile marker 114. A cold feeling spread through my chest. The radio crackled softly. Then the host continued. He's listening now. I switched stations immediately. Static. Every frequency had become static except 97.3. Then music started playing. Old music. 1940s jazz distorted beneath heavy static. After about 30 seconds, the music abruptly stopped. A woman's voice whispered. "Do you see the lights yet?" Right then, headlights appeared behind me. One vehicle. Far back in the storm. At first I ignored it. Then I noticed something strange. The headlights weren't bouncing with the road. They stayed perfectly still. Too high off the ground. Like the vehicle behind me was enormous. The radio host returned calmly. For those still driving tonight. Static crackled loudly. Do not pick up hitchhikers. Almost immediately after he said that, I saw her standing beside the road. A woman in a white dress illuminated briefly by lightning. Barefoot. Completely soaked by rain. She wasn't waving for help. Just standing there smiling at the highway. As my truck passed her, she slowly turned her head to follow me. Then the radio whispered. She sees you. I pressed harder on the gas. That's when I noticed the headlights behind me had gotten much closer. Way too fast. I checked my mirrors again. And realized there was no vehicle attached to them. Just headlights. Floating high above the road in the rain. My phone suddenly lost signal completely. Even the clock on the dashboard started flickering. 1:13 a.m. Then 1:13 again. Then again. Time wasn't changing. The radio host chuckled softly. You've stayed on the road too long. The storm outside worsened instantly. Rain became almost blinding. Then shapes started appearing beside the highway. People standing in the fields. Dozens of them. Motionless. Watching the road. Every single one smiling. The floating headlights behind me drew even closer. Close enough now that bright light flooded the inside of the truck cab. Then the radio crackled violently. A new voice came through. Panicked. A man screaming. If you hear the station, turn around now. The broadcast cut off sharply. Then silence. For several seconds, only static filled the cab. Then came knocking. 3 slow knocks against the outside of my driver's side door. I nearly crashed. There was no way anyone could be beside the truck moving at highway speed. The knocking came again. Then a woman's voice softly said through the rain. Can you let me in? I looked toward the driver's side window before I could stop myself. The woman in the white dress was running beside the truck. Keeping pace effortlessly. Still smiling. Her feet weren't touching the pavement. The radio host sighed. She caught up. I swerved hard, nearly losing control completely. When I looked back toward the window, she was gone. But the headlights behind me were now directly on my bumper. Too close. I finally saw the shape beneath them during a flash of lightning. Not a truck. Not a car. Something huge crawling low across the road on long limbs. Its body stretched wider than both lanes. And mounted high above its head. Were those glowing headlights? The radio erupted with overlapping voices all speaking together. Exit now. I spotted an off-ramp ahead and jerked the wheel violently toward it. The moment my truck left the highway, everything vanished. The storm. The headlights. The radio station. Gone. Complete silence. Even the clock worked normally again. 2:04 a.m. I pulled into the nearest gas station shaking so badly I could barely stand. When I told the cashier what happened, his expression changed immediately. Then he asked, "Did you hear the weather broadcast?" I nodded slowly. The man looked terrified. Apparently people around those highways have reported hearing 97.3 FM for decades. Usually during storms. Most ignore it. Some follow its instructions. And some disappear completely. According to local rumors, the station only appears for drivers already marked by something on the road. I laughed when he said that. At least until he asked me one final question. Did the woman smile before or after she knocked? I told him after. The cashier went pale. Then quietly whispered. That means it already knew your face. Now every time I drive at night through heavy rain, my radio occasionally switches to static on its own. And somewhere beneath the noise, I can hear old jazz music playing faintly in the background. Waiting for 97.3 FM to return.